everybody, this is T from Kate's Crafty Closet with another tag, Christmas tag for my Christmas tag 2019 series. These are really fun, really easy, really simple, and we're going to use 3 different types of embossing powders today so I can show you how they all kind of work if you ever thought about buying them and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get ourselves started. We're going to make 3 different tags today. Like I said, super easy, super fun, super simple. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is, this is some black 110 pound cardstock from Michael's, the Recollections brand. I pre-treated these with some anti-static powder too, aka cornstarch from my kitchen. So I just used a brush and I dusted it on there. I just wanted to do that beforehand so we don't have to do that. But these are measured 3 by 4 inches. The stamp set that we're going to be using today is from Timholtz and Stampers Anonymous. This is Grunge Flakes. So we're going to use 3 different ones out of that set. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is, we're going to use this embossing powder first. This one is called Holographic. This is by Ranger. So I always tap the top of my embossing powder because sometimes when you open it, it wants to spill everywhere. And I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, sometimes when I don't have a block nearby, this stamp was just sitting right here. So this is now going to become my makeshift block for this tag, because the cling rubber will stick to this. And that holographic embossing powder is going to be clear once you heat it up. So I don't want it to be clear. I want to have a little bit of opaqueness to it. So that's when I'm going to go in with some white pigment ink. And this is my Memento Luxe wedding dress. You can use any white ink that you have on hand in your stash. And I will do the best that I can to link all the products that I use today in today's video in the description box below. So, see, I have some on the edge of this ink. Ink is on the edge of that stamp. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to stress about that, but if that bothers you, just kind of wipe it off with your finger if you want to. But like I said, I'm not super concerned with that. So we're going to bring in one of those pre-cut tags, and we're just going to stamp this snowflake onto our cardstock. So here we go. Like, placement for me is not a big deal. Wherever it goes or wherever it lands, I'm okay with that. So I just got a scrap sheet of copy paper, and I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle on that embossing powder. And the anti-static powder, aka cornstarch, is really beneficial. And if you have strays on there, you don't want to go in with a dry brush and just remove areas that you do not want embossing powder to stick after you heat emboss it. And always remember, if you have a ceiling fan going, turn it off when you're embossing. You will thank yourself later, I promise you. And yeah, I've done it more than one time because it has a tendency to want to blow embossing powder everywhere. And it's like I said, even though you can't always prevent that, but the fan will definitely help control that a little bit. So we're going to bring in our heat tool, get it warm. Takes about 15-20 seconds for it to get nice and hot, because you don't want any of that holographic glitter to fly off of your image here. And this heat tool, you can see how it's drying and you're getting that holographic sparkle. So just remember that embossing powder, when you put it onto any kind of surface, it's going to be clear. The only thing you're able to see is that holographic glitter in there. Can you see that? I'm hoping you can see that on the camera. And so that's why I decided to use the white ink. And you can use any color pigment ink in that case. Like, if you want pink and you want that holographic look, you can use the pink. Oxides would also work too, because they stay a little bit wet on the surface, so you have enough time to sprinkle that embossing powder onto it. So it's like, yeah, it's all fun. So now we're going to go ahead and use our We Are Memory Keepers angle punch. I'm going to use the large angle, and I'm just going to go ahead and punch that up. So we'll come back to that in a second and finish them all off together. Then we're going to bring in our next 3x4" tag. Like I said, tags can be any size you want them to be. We're going to come in with this one, and we're going to actually use embossing ink this time. So we're going to go ahead and use our VersaMark Inkpad. And of course, you know, you can use any Inkpad, embossing Inkpad that you have on hand. So today I just have my VersaMark, and I'm just going to dab it on there. And like I said, these are grunge looking snowflakes, so they're not going to be perfect images. So I'm just going to slap that snowflake on there. You can put it wherever you want to, in all honesty. And then we're going to come in with a different scrap of paper. When I use different embossing powders, I always use a different piece so I don't cross-contaminate my embossing powders. And today's embossing powder is going to be also from Ranger. This is called Frosted Crystal. Remember, I tap the top and get it leveled. This is also going to be an ink, not an ink, but an embossing powder that's going to dry clear onto your cardstock. So you'll see when I heat set this what it does, and then we're going to kind of make it pop off the page by doing a different type of technique to it. It's like I have some embossing powder inside of there that I don't really want, and I'm going to go ahead and wipe it off. And I'm not super concerned about that because it is distressy, it is grungy look, and it is snow, so I can just say that's okay. So let's go ahead and put that back into our container here. I always do that each and every time because I don't want to make a mess and knock it over, and then you have all that wasted powder. Okay, so we're going to come in. We're going to heat set that again. Remember, let it warm up 15-20 seconds. And then you'll notice that when I go ahead and heat set this, that's going to go clear on us. So see how that has turned clear on us, but we can still see the image on there, and it's got a little bit of a frosted type of look. If you move it in different directions, you can kind of see that. But what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take an ink blending tool, and we're going to grab that white ink pad again, and we're going to blend some ink into the cardstock there. And remember, this is going to be a little bit on the wet side, so you're going to have to dry it as you go along. But this will kind of make and help our snowflake pop from that cardstock. And you can use different colors of pigment ink too. You don't have to use white. It's completely 100% up to you. Like I said, I'm just using white because as you see, when it goes to those corners and edges of the embossed areas, it kind of stands out and kind of pops out. And like I said, you want to dry it. You can let it air dry if you want, but you can go ahead and heat set it. I'm just going to heat set it a little bit, so I don't, because when I handle it again, I don't want it to really smudge a whole bunch. And like I said, this is a grungy look. You can add sentiments to this if you want to. Of course, you can always personalize them as well. So let's go ahead and grab our gun and give it a few swipes back and forth to give it so dry, heat set, and dry it. Okay, so that should be good enough for the moment. And I'm going to go ahead and wipe off that ink. And we're going to bring in that We Are Memory Keepers angle punch and do the large angle. You can, whatever the side you want the top to be, completely 100% up to you. And we're going to go ahead and chomp it. Okay, and we put that one to the side, and we'll finish it up as well. So the last one that we're going to go ahead and use is a baked texture from Seth Apter. and Emerald Creek. This is called Blizzard. So baked textures, they usually have other things included in them other than just embossing powder. And when they're done, they have texture to them. Like you can touch them and you can feel the different texture in them. So this is what we're going to go ahead and use on the last one. And I have a stamp set here. One of the stamps already in here. And we're going to go grab our last tag here, and this one we are going to use our VersaMark ink as well, and you won't be able to see me do this on to the side over here, but I'm just going to ink it up with the VersaMark ink, and I'm going to go ahead and push down, give it a little bit of elbow grease, and I'm going to be done. And boom, that takes care of our, and I noticed that I got a little bit of the ink onto the side of the stamp, like quite a bit of it, but I'm okay with that. Like I'm not going to stress that out. So I'm going to come in with another new sheet excuse me, of copy paper and just sprinkle on our baked textures, and you can see how this is chunky. Okay, so I'm going to push this to the side, put this back in there. So these are really fun to do projects with. I have quite an extensive collection of them, and they really are fun to use on mixed media, and you can incorporate into your cards. Like, and you see how I told you I can tell that I had ink on the edges of the stamp. So we can just go in with that brush and remove the areas that we don't want to be embossed. And then you can always, oops, and I just took a little bit more off than I wanted to, but that's okay. Okay, it's like, I'm not super 100% concerned that I have little specks on different areas. Like I said, that I'm just going to say that that's the snow. See how I messed up that little area, but I'm okay with that. So we go in with our gun again, our heat gun, and go ahead and melt. Give that a moment to dry, and we're going to go ahead and wipe that off. Like I said, I'm not worried about those strays, perfectly okay with me. Then let's go in and grab our angle punch again and just chomp the edges. Okay, then we're going to come in with a hole punch, and let's go ahead and hole punch our 3 tags we just made and get them ready to go. It's like there's nothing more I'm going to do with that one. There is something I'm going to add to the one that we put ink around the edges, and this one I'm not going to do anything additional to it. Doesn't mean you can't. Okay, so this one I have these little, oh, I am going to do other things to these. I apologize for that. I got to put reinforcers on here because when we string through our ribbon or twine or whatever we're going to use for that, this just helps it not rip that hole up there, and we can maintain. There we go. So we got that one. That one's done. Then we put the reinforcers on this one. Okay. I'm just using white ones, but you can use any color you want. You can color these white ones with your alcohol markers too. Okay, so we got that one. This one, let's go ahead and put our reinforcers on too. Okay, that's one. Flip it over. And that's the second one. And this one, I'm going to bring in my little gems that I have on here to make this snowflake kind of pop up a little bit. So here we have that, so it doesn't blend so much into it. I'm going to put one in the center, and I'm going to put one on each of the ends of the snowflake. Like, I wish I had a little pokey tool with me, but that thing seems to disappear more than Houdini does in my craft room. So let's just go ahead and do the best that we can, right? Improvise. All right, so we have this one that's stuck on my finger, my thumb. Move that one, and we need a couple more, and then we'll be done with that one. And then we're just going to put some ribbon onto our tag so we can, and mind you, these things can also be ornaments on your tree, you know. Like nobody said a tag has to be a tag for a gift. I mean, if you are a journal maker, scrapbooker, card maker, mini albums, you can seriously put your tags in there as embellishments. So the possibilities are endless with tags. They're, like I said, just not just for to put on a gift. So there we go. So we have that one. Now I have some ribbon here. This is just some Christmas ribbon I've probably had for quite some time. So I'm just using the silver because it kind of goes well with the color schematics of today's tags. All right, I'll just do 14 inches. I'm only going to do one. So not to bore you with my... so this is a little bit big to go through that hole. So I'm going to have to squeeze those ends together once I get them to kind of be able to get them through there effortlessly, but it's never effortlessly with me. I've come to that conclusion already, so I'm just kind of bunching it up, and I'm just going to pull them through. Well, one came through. Well, one is better than none, so we'll grab the other one, and we got it. See, we got it. Or we thought we had it, right? It's like I'm just pulling the other one, not necessarily both of them, but there we go, we got it. So I'm going to pull them through, and I'm just going to line them up evenly. I'm okay with the little frayed edges on there, and we're just going to do a slip knot through it. Like this doesn't give too much, so that's another reason why I want to put the enforcers on there, because I don't pull it too hard. I can rip it, so I just, you know, pull, loosen up, and tighten up. So that is our tags for today. I appreciate y'all being here. If you like this video, please make sure you give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, make sure you do so. And when that notification bell comes up, you might want to go ahead and press that too, so YouTube is supposed to notify you each and every time that I upload a video. And thank you all once again, and y'all have a crafty day, y'all.